that way it's rocking and rolling.
Is the sound good?
It should be. Let me go ahead and okay, let's see.
Awesome.
Should be rolling here in a little bit. You know, the markets look like we have a little bit of a downturn, but I'm still pretty excited about where we're at. Should be rolling here in a little bit. All right, perfect. So welcome back to your favorite comedy finance channel. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I have BarendsCrypto with us. He's a TA analyst, and you know he's probably one of the most humble guys I've met. You know what's funny is I've only had a few minutes to conversate with him, and the first thing he says after I was like, "Man, you're really good at TA." He's like, "I'm just basic level, just taking a look at the charts, just doing my thing." But you know, I think you've been doing an awesome job. So I'd love to just thank you for giving us the time. So let's can you tell us more about you and what got you into crypto?
I started investing in cryptocurrency at the top of the cryptocurrency bull market during 2017, and then in 2018 everything went to hell. So that was one of the things that really got me interested. Right, I wanted to know why it was dumping, and that's actually why I got obsessed with analyzing the charts. So that's where my interest is, and from there, yeah, 100% addicted to the cryptocurrency market. I love watching the price go up and the emotions involved and the drama. And yeah, that's it for me.
It is kind of action-packed. You know, a lot of people, I don't think people give us enough credit. They think watching charts is boring, but it's not boring when you got skin in the game, you know? So, you know, it is pretty cool. So, what, you know, just to kind of give like a basic overview, you know, what are you feeling for the markets right now? Do you think what are you thinking? Are we going to go through another fracture in Bitcoin, or what is your kind of overview forecast of where we're going from here on the short term and the long term?
If we compare this market to the previous market during 2019, which is close to where I think we're at, I do think we'll see a lot of sideways action, possibly around the $900 billion price range, before we do actually start moving up to above $1 trillion. Now, what we do want to move up towards during the first quarter of 2023 would be something like $1.2 trillion. So that's what I think would be a good mark for us. So if we can hit that during 2023, during the first quarter, we are in a very good space, and we'll possibly move to about $1.6 to $2.4 trillion. So that's where I think we are at right now. So everything is good. Everything looks great. We might see a little bit of sideways action, possibly a dump down to just beneath $900 billion before we do see a big climb towards the upside. Everything is normal. You can compare this market to 2019. And then again, at the end of 2020, everything was excellent. So right now would be the best time to dollar cost average, not financial advice. That's just what I'm doing. But yeah, everything looks good.
I'm kind of feeling the same way. You know, a lot of people were bearish at first because nobody wanted to believe it. And because everybody was so prepared for like one more dip. And then, you know, the whole phase of everybody in disbelief, I was like, I don't know, man, this is kind of looking like one of those phases. And I did get a little bit more aggressive. And you know, I do think that even your short-term forecast, I think that's still bullish. You know, 1.4 trillion doesn't sound like a very far away from where we're at. You know, I remember when we first got in, or at least I did, it was around the 200 to 300 billion range. And at that time, it seemed like we were already at a very large number. But seeing where we are today really does open the perspective of where we're going tomorrow. You know, I really don't think this market will stay under or I would say 10 trillion. By the next cycle. I think we're going to see at least, I mean, if you think about it, the last cycle was always about a 10x what the total scheme was on the entire market. So, you know, I do wonder exactly how large or how many multipliers of the macro market we're going to see this time, because we're at 1 trillion. So,
yeah, I mean, 2019 was at about 100 billion. And the market moved above 1 trillion, right? And we almost hit like what, $4 trillion during the last major bull cycle. So something like 10 to 20 trillion US dollars during 2025 or during 2025. I think that's completely possible.
Right. And, you know, and I try to be as conservative as I could possibly get. You know, I have no problem being wrong. You know, I always tell people like, look, it's not financial advice. You know, I'm gonna look at the markets the way my experience lets me see it. And I'm going to go from there. And sometimes I'll be very, very right. Sometimes I can be wrong, you know? So, but at the point of the matter is there's nothing wrong with being, like I would say, analytical to the point where you make a solid forecast and you live by that forecast, because that's your strategy, right? You want to be committed to what you're doing. So, you know, whenever I'm taking a look at my own personal forecast, I really want to, this is what I feel. I'm going to keep rolling at this pace unless I hear something a little bit crazy. You know, a lot of people think that being in a bull cycle, you're just continuously going to go up. And it's like, no, it's like you're still going to have dips. You're still going to have fractures. But over the course of years, the bull cycle lasts. You know, it's not like it happens in a couple months. You're not going to notice unless you're not holding. You know, if you're holding really well, you're going to understand and see this market so much better than someone that's in and out of the market, you know. And a lot of us here at MYC, we have long-term traders, we have leverage traders, we have short-term traders. But you know, when it comes to trying to build up another bag, like let's say if we don't have the revenue coming in to buy more assets, the next best bet is to have a short-term trading bag that you could trade in and out of to see if you can make money to put more money into your forever bags or whatever the case. Is that something you do as well, or what is your overall strategy on that?
My overall strategy is I just mainly do swing trading, but that's just to accumulate more cryptocurrency. So one of the currencies that I'm interested in a lot right now would be ABT, but I'm working towards accumulating more ABT. So I'm kind of going the long way around. I'll get into ABT when I think it's undervalued, and I'll jump in at QNT if I think that's undervalued. But overall, I'll start aiming towards the low cap coins like ABT. And hopefully that reaches something like $13 in future. And that would be my long-term strategy. My short-term strategy, swing trades. If something is undervalued, get in. Don't get too emotionally attached to something. If it happens that I find my way back into ABT, that's great. But I'd only get in if it would be beneficial to me in the long term. So short term, do a lot of swing trading. Long term, something like ABT or VRA. These low cap coins have like the most potential. So I don't want to waste my time with the higher cap coins, because I know that's not going to have high multipliers.
Yeah, I agree 100%. You know, especially if you're trying to build up a bag, you know, let's say if you don't have capital coming in or you need to make extra capital to stack up for your bag, there's nothing wrong with having a short-term trading bag or anything like that. And then you just build up your core bag overall. I like that strategy myself. You know, it really depends on time as well. You know, like some people, they don't have the time to do this, or sometimes there's other traders that say, you know what, I'm just going to buy every dip, or they're going to DCA or whatever the case. Ultimately long-term traders are going to get the most multipliers just based on entries that they can accumulate and then hold long. But there's also a lot of ROI to be made in short-term trading, and it does happen all the time. In fact, a lot of fortunes are made leverage trading against Bitcoin or ETH or XRP or whatever the case. However, this comes at a sharp sword. This could work very well for you, or it could do really bad for you. So it's it's funny. I've seen experts get completely wrecked doing this, doing a little bit too much movement, or doing too much leverage. So it is something that I feel everyone has to be careful with.
Yeah.
But it's always good to have a special allocation for your riskier type of bet. You know what I mean? I feel like that's the best way to kind of be hands-on,
My experience with leverage trading is, for me, it's mostly positive. But I feel if you're a average guy that's doing leverage trading, it's a very bad idea, because the market is already very volatile, and it's the market, well, the cryptocurrencies, the digital assets, they are being manipulated by the exchanges by some extent. So the prices will fluctuate heavily. So you can see a massive spike up, massive spike down. You can get liquidated very quickly. So what I would recommend is just passive swing trading, dollar cost averaging. That's strategies that I've used in the past that works very well for me. Leverage trading, 99% of the guys get completely wrecked. The larger accounts that you get out there, I actually have this experiment going where I'm trading against the larger accounts. So whenever one of them actually promotes a long position, within reason, I'll short it on like a demo account or something just to demonstrate how bad these guys are at leverage trading.
So basically, if you're watching Crypto, just bet against his bets.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't understand what his idea is, right? Because he keeps his trades open for such a long time when
Mhm,
the common sense thing would be take profits.
mhm. That's another thing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could be a lot of sensationalism as well. He could be calculated. I mean, definitely there's success behind all of that. But it could also be for a variety of other reasons too. There is a lot of manipulation out there, and some exchanges can manipulate a particular price at their particular exchange and not somewhere else. So, and you have to be familiar with arbitrage between these different exchanges. If you could do so just as a regular investor, you have to think about what a lot of these other guys could do on maybe an exchange that has interest in them, or they have interest in the other side, or whatever the case may be. But bots are a huge factor. When people want to see a chart that's alive and you see the chart moving consistently, it's not just a bunch of people buying back and forth. It's robots trading back and forth, and also people. And that's going to create your more of your live chart line than actual just people going back and forth. I mean, of course, this depends on volume too, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. That's actually a very scary thing, because with artificial intelligence and these bot traders, eventually they'll be the best traders out there, right? So a person couldn't be competing against them long term, because the bot traders, they will win. So from my point of view, dollar cost averaging is what I would start implementing when I have a lot of losses and I can't compete in the market anymore as a trader.
Yeah. It's always cool to have like different plans. Like, for me, whenever I'm in the markets, I always have like at least 2 or 3 plans ahead of every trade, just in case. What if this happened? So, I always go through those moments. In fact, I always tell a lot of people, even when we're just talking about like, different companies in general, I'm like, look, that outlook looks great. We could go to zero by tonight. Very big possibility. You never know. No matter how bullish something looks, we could go to zero by tonight. You never know.
Yeah. That's the big risk of crypto. We could go to zero. And a lot of people think, no, it's not going to happen, but it's always a risk. It's an unlikelihood.
It's
But yeah.
possible. And even the best companies out there, we got hacked, whatever, not like Luna, whatever. Clearly these were companies that were A-list, right? So, it's always, I mean, of course, we're not going to enter the market as pessimists, but, you still have to have that idealism of what the risks really are. You know what I'm saying? Because you are playing with bigger money and the volatility is there. So I know you've been looking at ARC Block ABT. The outlook looks good. But what about other picks? And just for those of you that haven't heard about ARC Block, I definitely would take a look at it. It's 186 million coin cap, very volatile coin. And I'll be honest with you, I still feel blessed to get it at low volume. To be really honest with you, because I can't imagine the scalability once volume actually enters the markets in Coinbase. And Coinbase is getting a lot of publicity because they're fighting the staking overreach with the SEC. So I would really like to see what happens. But besides that, so ARC Block, definitely something. And then, I tell people this too. I'm going to put this out there. It's really weird to me that people they can't see 100 million coin market cap on this coin. And I see shit coins with over 100 million in market cap, let alone on Coinbase, so I think a lot of coins on that exchange are pretty undervalued at this time.
Yeah.
But let's keep going. What
Yeah.
other picks do you have in mind?
I did take a look at LCX, and I think that's an awesome coin to hold right now. It did reach my price target for the first quarter, which is like a vital zone that I do think it should hit. It's the 0.236 for retracement zone. So from its all-time high to the low, it did hit that zone very early on during 2023. And I think like that has tremendous potential.
I do feel I feel like it'll be, like personally, just based on its last ATH, I kind of feel like this time around it would probably break the dollars. I feel like I would say like $1.50 or more this coming cycle is kind of how like my estimation. What are you thinking?
Taking a look at
Of
LCX,
course, this is
I think,
speculation.
yeah, yes, it's all speculation. I think LCX has a good chance of actually hitting above 35 cents during 2023 if the market does see that big recovery come in. And I do think we could actually move as high as about $2. That would be during 2025. So yeah, that's what I think's in store for this project. We could actually see above $2 during 2025.
Can you tell me why exactly you feel 2025 is going to be bullish? I
I
kind of
kind of use I kind of use this module that relies heavily on the fib retracements, and one of the big things that I look out for if these projects do come into contact with the 0.236 fib retracement zone. So if they hit that during the first quarter of 2023, that's not even the top of the bull market during 2023. So I do think the next level that I'd have to look out for would be like the 35-cent price range for LTCX, and that will be like a confirmation to me, which would be at the 0.620 fib retracement zone. That would be a confirmation that we are likely to see very high price targets being hit for this project during 2025. So it already hit the first leg. That's important. 0.236 fib retracement zone will likely move to the 0.618 fib retracement zone or around that region. And if it hits that, then I'm very confident it will hit about $2 during 2025. So if A, then B, if B, then C.
It does have, I mean, it does have the licenses. It's regulated. And especially right now, that's one of the biggest problems with the crypto space, considering FTX. So, I do think LCX is looking a lot more bullish. I don't think Monty's playing games. He definitely has the money to make this a success. I don't think there's going to be funding issues with LCX ever, to be honest with you. I mean, if you guys take a look into the company itself, I highly recommend it. You'll see them partnered with a World Economic Forum and a variety of other big conglomerates. So it's definitely worth a look. What other ones have we been looking at? I think, do you have an idea of PRQ? How's PRQ doing?
I did take a look at PRQ. It
happy
also has very good circulating supply. It's under 200 million tokens. So that's a very good sign for me that we could actually see a big growth in the price of this project. I think it's currently ranked at about 518 on CoinMarketCap. So if we move to the charts over here, we can see that we did already hit the 0.618 fib retracement in the shorter time frame. So I did draw down this fib retracement zone from 2022, the top form from 2022 to the low during 2022 as well, the end of the year. So we did hit the target already of the 0.618 fib retracement zone, but we got a rejection there at about 25 cents. So we desperately need to break above 25 cents, possibly seeing a price between 50 and 70 cents during the first quarter of 2023, possibly even the early second quarter. And if we hit that price between, I think, the 50 to 70 cents price range, we could see something as high as about $4, maybe even a blow of top taking us as high as about $9 during 2025.
It's funny. Speculation, but I was actually estimating 8 to 12 myself, and the only reason why is the performance of last cycle. When we had first got into it, I want to say it was around the 4-cent range, and we did very good with it. I think I wrote it somewhere between $1.50 or $1.60. And we did pretty goddamn good with it. And I always remembered it was a good project. But when Web3 became a little bit more spotlighted, I was like, oh my God, this is like perfect for Parsec. And our first entry on it so far, I want to say, I think we got in about 8 cents, I want to say. And that I felt like that was way too cheap for Parsec, but I didn't want to, wait any longer. That's way too cheap for it. But it did. I mean, it hits almost like it was like $2.14 that it hit last cycle. And, people are going to see that performance and they're going to see Web3. They're going to see all the different things about it from here. And, they're going to ride it a further way than last ATH this cycle. There's more than enough time for it to grow, especially now that it's already kind of being recognized. So I wouldn't doubt breaking $1. I would say probably, at this pace, probably before the end of the year, I would say. I think a lot of the market's really undervalued for alts. I keep telling people, I understand if you're bearish on Bitcoin or you feel like it's going to have a fracture, but like as for where we are right now, we're in alt season, and the fact that we're now in alt season, and when we were buying alts, the Bitcoin dominance was like mid 35% or so. So if you were buying at that time, and it doesn't matter if this thing pumps or fractures, it's over. These bottoms are done. So I've been really happy with a lot of our different positions, and I'm happy that we were collecting the last 6 months, because now I'm looking at the fruits of our labor, and now I'm watching the markets rise. So it's really it feels good to see it happen. I know a lot of people missed that bottom, and I don't think they're going to come back. I
see a lot of Bitcoin maxis rely heavily on the market dominance of BTC, but I don't think that's going to be a reliable indicator right now, because BTC is going to see diminished returns over time. Some also going to start challenging it for dominance as we go forward. So to me, the market dominance, that whole thing's going to be flipped on its head.
I agree. I've never been a person that's been a fan of people that say, "Oh, just follow Bitcoin. Oh, just follow Bitcoin," and they typically only follow the price of Bitcoin. And although liquidity from Bitcoin is tethered to a lot of these different coins out there, it really doesn't matter. There's still ETH is still coming up, XRP, XLM. A lot of these other projects have liquidity too. So I'm not a believer in that. However, when I'm taking a look at the sentiment right now with whether or not we're in a bull cycle or a bear cycle, they're trying to predicate it off of Bitcoin. And even if you were to predicate it off Bitcoin, and if you were buying alts, the Bitcoin dominance, in my perspective, was very low. The prices were already low too. Every coin has its own ecosystem. You think about it, it doesn't really matter. But at the same time, still, if you take a look at where we're at in the alts, they were way too. Even XLM got bullish for a little bit. I remember people specifically saying, like, "Wow, XLM is bullish right now," and that was, to me, when I first heard that was my signal. I was like, I think this is it. Like when XLM got bullish, I was like, wow.
Yeah, they burned so many tokens. I thought it was going to explode. Thought it was going to easily be like above $1 and it's going to stay there forever and then move above $10. But unfortunately, that didn't play out.
Yeah. It might do better this coming cycle, to be honest. And I think it'll be better the more crypto is utilized, because XLM is such a great tool because it has all the bridges everywhere. Whenever I'm sending money around, I send XLM because it's the cheapest. So, I convert it into XLM and then I send it out, so like, to be honest with you, I think as the market goes up, XLM volume will just naturally go up because of that process, or because people utilize it to transfer funds. It's better than sending a DAI or ETH or, whatever.
I use XRP and XLM for transfers as well. It's very quick. It's very cheap. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's go through some comments real quick and then kind of get rolling from there. Crypto Neck is pretty bearish. He feels like, what if we go to 10K Bitcoin? Markets are going to get messed up. What do you think? Do you think Bitcoin has any probability of going to 10K? I think that's too optimistic, to be honest with you.
In the case of a global catastrophe, which is always a risk, especially now these days, it could drop to 9,000, maybe $10,000. That would take us towards the upper trending level of support, all the way back, which started all the way back during the last bear cycle during 2018. So it is a possibility that we could drop down to $9,000, but I think it's very unlikely. We already saw the FTX fiasco, right? The price didn't dip beneath 13 or go down beneath 10. So we can see it has a lot of resistance. A lot of people are holding long-term BTC, right? So they're not going to sell it for less than 10K. So in my opinion, It's unlikely. It's a possibility. We could also go to 0. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. We could go up, but we could go down. But I agree 100%. There's always a possibility. I mean, something happens. What happens? 2K Bitcoin for some reason. Anything can happen. Of course, there's always that possibility. Lo Wang says, I've been in crypto 1.5 years since finding MYC now and holding everything I've bought so far. Having that much capital tied up for so long sucks, but knowing what it'll do keeps me hanging on. Yeah, absolutely. Mark says, I don't understand Bitcoin. You don't buy it to make money, but to keep your money. But there's other assets that keep your money better. So I'm confused by it. Well, every crypto asset is somewhat of a vehicle of transfer. You could put any sort of amount of money into it in assurance to whatever that value is. So you put 10 grand in XRP or 10 grand in XLM, you could transfer 10 grand in whatever coin you chose, so Bitcoin, is just simply peer-to-peer payments. So, when you're talking about blockchain 1.0, it's just P2P, that's all. That's the very base level of everything. It's just crypto is a faster, more efficient and cheaper way to transfer large amounts of money instantly or, very quickly, because think about it, typically a bank, it takes 3 days in order for your check to clear or whatever funding to clear. But with crypto, you could get your settlements within a day, at least. I don't think there's any crypto that takes longer than an hour now or longer than 30 minutes or whatever. Well, Bitcoin's kind of slow, but I don't think it's that slow. It's still. If you take a look,
faster than banks.
Huh? What was that?
Still faster than banks.
Yeah, a lot faster than banks. That's my point. And permissionless. The reason why it's so fast is because it's from point A to point B. When you're sending, regular money through banks and shit, you're point A, and then you're sending to someone in the middleman. They clear it and then send it over. So that's why it takes a little bit longer. But when it's peer-to-peer, it says you to the other person. But again, the reason why we choose, or people or crypto investors choose between different crypto assets, is typically based on their utility or the marketing around the coin. And price fluctuations could happen based on how many people are buying those coins. So because of these things, a lot of crypto investors take a look at scarcity. How many coins are there? How scalable is the coin? Things of that nature. They look at price entry. They look at a variety of different things. It sounds like you just got into crypto. You have a long way to go, trust me. But it's a learning process, and as long as you stay green and stay emotionless, you're going to learn a lot, whether you're winning or whether you're losing. You're always going to learn in crypto. I'll tell you that right now.
And keep watching MYC.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, how do I pronounce it? Is it Barends?
BarendsCrypto.
BarendsCrypto has a crypto channel as well.
In my language, we would say Barends.
Oh, okay. There you go. Where are you from?
South Africa.
Oh, okay. That's I've only met one guy from South Africa, and he was really nice. He was actually the whitest African I ever knew, to be honest with you. But
come from Joburg, from Johannesburg.
Another pick I'd like you to take a look at. I've been noticing there's good volatility on it, so maybe you've been watching it. JazzMi, what do you think of that?
JazzFi, I didn't have an opportunity to check that out. I can just bring it up quickly.
There's been some volatility in it. First entry was 0.0029, and right now we're at 0.0061 on a downtrend. And I think the bottom is in on a 2x stabilized. So I do think from here, we're probably going to break that 1 cent range after this next major pump. And I'm hoping that we're going to get a pump because the CPI reports, they said inflation was showing that it was going down. So if that's the case, then the CPI, which is your consumer price index, that means if inflation's going down, then these prices should also be going down. So the CPI report should actually be a good report, and we should get a nice pump tomorrow. But we'll see what happens. You know, we could go to zero.
Yes, always a possibility. Yeah. It's a scary thought because a lot of us have a lot of money in crypto. So that is a heck of a scary thought, but that is the risk involved in anything. Like, for instance, even with fiat currency, we have a neighboring country called Zimbabwe. Maybe some of you have heard about it. And they were literally using wheelbarrows full of money to try to buy bread because the value of the money dropped so dramatically. So fiat currency as well carries tremendous risk.
Exactly. You know, see, I don't think that's what people understand. Like, you know, you're using paper money all the time, right? And we just trust it. And that's confidence. And confidence is value, you know, and that's why products and services have the ability to make a transaction happen between two people that see value in the dollar, right? And, you know, this could disappear overnight, you know, if the government just says, hey, we're just devaluing our currency by 99% now. It can happen. And it's happened before and it'll happen again. And typically, fiat currencies or paper money have a track record of lasting roughly 75 years before they collapse or need to be replaced. And
Yeah.
based on the narrative, that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, it's a very scary thought. But yeah, normally 100 years before it becomes obsolete or they mess it up to such a degree that it can't be used anymore and they have to change the system. So yeah, definitely. That's something to watch out for.
So let me read another comment. Low Wank says, if it wasn't for Dan, I wouldn't have these sweet bottoms and I'm still holding them very, very tightly. That is correct. That's what I'm doing also. I feel like the bull market started already. I feel like, you know, yes, there'll be dips and fractures, but the bull market is here and it'll be here for the next couple years or so until we see a next big issue, you know, which I don't think is going to be until I would say 2026. That's kind of my idealism, but I think peaks will be 2025, you know, because I mean, after Bitcoin halving, you don't feel the effects until mid-year 2024. So chances are you're going to get a lot of media attention, probably like 2025 towards late 2025, and then something stupid can happen. That's just
when the media starts saying that Bitcoin's going to the moon during 2025, that's the good idea, like to stop panicking.
Yeah,
Because that's when
exactly.
they're going to drop it on you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's what's silly. You know, everybody, okay, so nobody wants to believe the media when they say that it's a bear market, or I'm sorry, when it's a bull market, right? So when we hear the media start saying, oh, it's a bull market, you know, and it's like they're really hammering it. Nobody wants to believe that part, you know? But whenever the media is sitting there telling you that it's a bear market, everyone wants to believe that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, pick a side, you know? But that's
100%.
the way I saw it. Let me see. I think that's it for the comments. But you know, let's talk about what other. I mean, are you looking at any other picks that we could? I think you like a lot of the ones that we like, but I think you also like a few different ones that I haven't heard of.
I think ICX, which is a coin I think that you're quite interested in, saw tremendous growth over the last few months. Went up by over 100% since the start of the year. So it looks very healthy. Hopefully we can see a price between 60 cents and 80 cents during the first quarter of 2023. And yeah, that would be excellent for RCX. So between 60 and 80 cents, possibly during the first quarter of 2023.
Is that Icon?
Yeah, that's Icon.
Icon. I've actually never seen this company. It has a 953 million coin cap. And this looks like it has its own chain, if I'm not mistaken. Where is it? What is it running on top of?
Let's take a look quickly.
It looks like it's its own chain.
Yeah. It's thriving.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen it. It doesn't look too bad. It does have some volatility there, and then towards the last cycle, it broke dollars. That's pretty strong, especially for the cap. But you know, another thing, you know, I mean, I think it's because it says ICX. It's reminding me of LCX, which kind of has a similar cap. You know, this is a good example, right? This is actually like a nice, good, cross-reference to the scalability of that particular tokenomic. Because the LCX has a 950 million coin cap. This one has a 950 million coin cap, basically 953 to be exact. And all of them are in circulation. So that's also another big plus for me. I really like it when all the tokens are in circulation because, it's not, now the team can't really stop the price from doing what it needs to do without, removing a bigger share of whatever they got. So I always like seeing more circulation. 50% is pretty much my gauge. I really want it less. I think 30 to 40% is my happy spot because it's just enough for them to win. It's just enough for me to win. And I feel like everyone is going to win. It's just a thing of mine. Whenever I'm looking at the tokenomics, I don't just look at the cap. What other ones can you share with us?
Goodness. I think XRP is a very popular one right now. Always actually a popular one. Community is very strong. So I think with XRP, we could be seeing something like 65 cents during the next few months. Hopefully, if that SEC lawsuit does end, we can see something like $1.3. So that is my target for this XRP during 2023.
I feel
so
like
hopefully we do see that. Yeah.
I really do feel like regulations might happen this year, and I really don't care about those things. I really don't even pay attention to like all the storylines because I'm like, it's just like a rerun for like every year. It's a rerun.
It's a very scary thing in the XRP community, though, that a lot of these content creators are pushing out like $1,000 price targets for XRP, some $70,000, $100,000. From my point of view, that's not possible. Right. Yeah. But a lot of them will push out crazy price targets like that.
It's not right. I don't like it. I don't like it at all, to be honest with you. Because of its cap, it's not. It would take forever to get to that level. And then on top of that, I don't even think it would be healthy for it to be that level. I mean, think about it. Imagine opening a Zoom wallet for $2,000 to copy. Like that'd be wild. Like who's going to be able to use anything on there?
One of the funny things that I saw though on Twitter was that a lot of the developers are starting to argue with a lot of these people pushing the hype, and then their community will fight against the developers, the people that know better, right? And then there's like, it's just funny for me to watch because usually I'd find myself in that position, and then I just have to watch the developers now argue with the hype guys.
See, this is kind of why. So, we built our own app, MYCNETWORK app. We have it on Google, we have it on Apple phones now, and it's subscription based. So, it's 23 USD a month. And we don't take your data, we don't mine it. We don't sell your data to third party entities or anything like that. It's self sustainable. So everything that's on there, we pay for it just to keep it rolling. But the whole reason behind it is when you go to MYCNETWORK.io, the first three things that we talk about is we have admins, we have developers, and we have investors. And we have different admins and developers from different ecosystems. And we found that when we have better communication between the admin, developers, and investors, you just have a happy medium of people with correct expectations. A lot of projects could take anywhere between 6 to 12 years, maybe even more, and people hear these years and like, oh my gosh, that's way too long. Like, wait, what do you mean that's way too long? Like, have you looked at Amazon for what it is today, for what it was 20 years ago? These are companies that are going to be unicorns, but it takes a lot of fucking time. And I don't think a lot of people really understand that. Like, if anyone's ever used Facebook, I know everyone has, but if for those of you that were here to use Facebook when it was just a browser, no app, you remember that? When I first used Facebook or MySpace, you had to go to a browser. There was no apps that you could get on your phones, like your little whippersnappers. Back in the day, I had to just go on Windows Explorer to find Facebook, like an adult.
A lot of people also want to get rich immediately. This is a long-term thing. It's not short-term. It's not a get-rich quick scheme. So they have to have very realistic expectations, especially if they're new in the market or they've gotten into crypto. Don't listen to people that's going to tell you something like you're going to get rich this year or something like that, right? Have the long term in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell people this all the time. It's like, overall, every cycle, you want to build a big enough bag where you don't have to worry about it anymore. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole point of this. The point of getting into crypto is not sell off everything you own. The point is to make enough to pay yourself and then still leave really nice bags behind for the long run. So that way in 10, 20 years, you don't have to work anymore or something, you know? I mean, success can happen a lot faster in this industry. You know, it could happen within two years. It could happen within 3, 4 years, you know, but still every person that's of high, you know, brand or, you know, a lot of, you know, whoever the bigger names are out there in crypto sector, they're still in the market. They have all this money, but they're still in the market. So, you know, clearly the whole idea is to grow your bag. That's the key. You know, you want to keep growing your bags. Every cycle, you want to grow your bag.
Something I've found that's very useful for me is to expand your knowledge base, right? So while you wait, just study the market, expand your knowledge base, and just keep the long term in mind. Something may come along that's very useful to you that you can actually use to your benefit, and that can help you overall in the long term, right? So that's just something that's I've been doing.
Absolutely, man. So let's see. I think we got a few more. What's his? Oh, so his price prediction was around the mid-dollar range if XRP were to win the case. I do feel like maybe they might win the case just based on that library case. The judge had said that secondary sales after ICO were not securities. So I felt like that was a very, very solid punch. We're also watching Coinbase stand up for the crypto industry for staking. I thought that's bullish. And just seeing everything happen, it's really I feel kind of like something might happen this year. And I typically don't ever fall into that Kool-Aid. I really don't, because I'm a person that I've seen enough where I know that scalability does not require regulations. I've been here long enough to understand that. However, you know, when I see what could be clarity, I'm feeling it this year. We'll see what happens, but I'm feeling it.
Hopefully during the first quarter.
Hopefully in 2 days. Let's see what else we got. If we hit $20 trillion in 2025, that will moon so many altcoins. Yeah, you never know. You know, I mean, I'm thinking 10 trillion. You know, but a lot of people have their expectations a lot higher. I mean, you never know. Institutions are going to get in. If all the payment credit card companies are going to off-ramp crypto assets, it's clear that these payment companies are looking for liquidity and they're not finding it at the banks. They're finding it in these crypto assets. So that's why a lot of these payment rails are going. The banks are not going to be around for very long when you could just use a digital wallet and have an off-ramp to Visa. Think about it. We could run into a bail-in at some point with these banks. You never know. Walter says, what is your favorite project on the XRPO? Solo would be my favorite. But what about you, Barends? Anything catches your eye on the XRPL?
Not really. I think with XRP, right, if the big fish doesn't swim, the rest aren't going to make it, right? So we need something to come along to end that lawsuit. And yeah, then I'll start diving into more XRP ledger projects. But that's the only issue for me. Lawsuit has to end.
I hear you.
So I don't want to be too optimistic in those projects because I know that's a big factor.
Yeah. Is there any blockchain or platform that you like using the most?
I was a big fan of the Flare network or Songbird network. I'm not really a fan of the management, but I'm a big fan of the concept, especially state connector and so forth, right? So I have been actually trying to get into more decentralized exchanges to do more trading there because I've seen a lot of earning potential on that. So I have been trading some Songbird network projects like the Spark token that dropped recently. I've been actually trying to trade that and trying to start a super farm. But when I figure that out, I'll release a tutorial video. That's currently what I'm busy with right now. So Songbird network. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people really like that project. Me, you know, I'm not a good critic for it. You know, I don't like Flare, I don't like Songbird, I don't like any of it. You know, I think it's because, like, you know, I've already been through all the nonsense and I'm just like done with it. I feel like in
3
the
years.
long run, yeah, in the long run, I feel like, you know, things probably will get a lot better. You know, I hate just the process of everything that happened. I didn't like how the IOUs were being sold. I felt like that was bullshit. And then, you know, the fact that they were using liquidity swaps with those IOUs pissed me off. There's a lot of things that pissed me off about that project, to be honest with you.
The
But
management as well with Hugo Phelan, when he called the XRP holders that took part in the snapshot, he called them a drag on the network if they don't take part in the delegation process. That ticked me off a lot because I don't really
bro,
take part in delegation, right?
you could
But
literally, you can launch
I do.
the blockchain so fast, you know. Um, but on that note, I think in the long run it'll work out. There's enough community there, you know. Like I always say, you know, to myself, no matter how much I hate something, it's like if there's a community there, it could happen. I mean, we saw Dogcoin; it just had a community, and it happened, you know. So I try not to be too pessimistic about any project out there. If there's a community there, it's always possible, you know. If there's no community, it's just dead in the water, you know. But all right, let's cut this one short. You know, anything you want to let us know about before we let you go?
Nothing much. If you're interested in my videos or my channel, check me out and just leave comments if you're interested in any projects. Luckily, I have a very small channel, so I can respond to all the comments and I can actually give you a lot of feedback on a lot of projects that I am looking at. And I can look at projects for you if you want me to check them out.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's do another video again, bro. I think we should definitely have like this regular. If we could put together like a list of all the different picks that we really like, and then just like, you know, just do some short-term analysis on them, stuff like that. I always tell
Yeah.
people, especially when you're doing TA, you know, you could be looking at a TA today, something happens in 30 minutes, it could change the chart, and you have to redo the TA just to make sure that, you know, the forecast could stay the same. It's always good to recheck your strategy every single time you're about to make that move, because typically the chart is a different form at the time of the trade when it's taken, right? So it's
Hmm.
always good to take one last shot look and make that best decision that you can make from there. But guys, thank you for coming. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Don't forget, he has a awesome channel, charts analysis, BarendsCrypto, and we are definitely going to have him back on. I'd love to appear on your side if possible. And we'll cut this one short. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you so much. Peace.